Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Write the Future podcast. I am your host, Beth Barany. I'm a science fiction and fantasy writer, also a creativity coach, editor, podcaster, and filmmaker. And I also help creative entrepreneurs get their businesses started. So yeah, like a lot of creatives, I have a lot going on. My passion is how do we make the world a better place for everyone? And that was one of my goals in starting this podcast, is talking to story writers about the amazing thing that happens when we create stories, which is we can help new things come into the world, because I believe that what we vision, we can help make so. So I love talking to other creatives, writers, futurists, and people who care about the future. And today I'm really excited to have a guest with us who's going to talk about her book and that pertains to these topics. I'm so excited. So Abigail, please join us in. And if you would, please introduce yourself. That would be awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me, Beth. I am Abigail Hing Wen. I'm an author and now a filmmaker, and I have published 5 books. This is my 5th one, The Vale, that just came into the world on Tuesday, about a week ago. And it's kind of exploding in all these different directions. There's a Roblox game, and there's a short film prequel starring my childhood hero, Leia Salonga, and lots of good things. So I'm excited to be sharing this book with the world.
Oh, wow. I am so excited to have you here with us. And if you could start out by saying, like, what inspired you to write this book? And also, just for some context, if this is your 5th book, what are all your books middle grade, it's middle grade, right? Not young adult.
Right? Yeah, although it reads up for sure. There's a lot of technology, and there's some hardships of the family. But I actually wrote The Veil in 2015, so 10 years ago, and it was actually the last book I wrote that was a drawer novel. So for those who don't know what a drawer novel is, it's the novels that you write that don't get published that you have to shelve. And it was because it's a story about a family that creates an AI-generated virtual fantasy world. There was no market for it at the time. So my agent at the time said, she couldn't take it out. And I think that's probably right, that nobody knew what AI generation was. So I ended up writing Love Boat Taipei, and that was my breakout novel that became the movie Love in Taipei on Netflix. And then with, times changed. I had another book. I had 4 more books in the world. And so I was able to kind of make edits to this one and adjust it. And the short film got underway. And so now, 10 years later, the world is ready. So I finally get to publish it.
Wow, I love that. So you're a futurist too. I mean, writing things that then get set aside. I too just resurrected a novel that I wrote 10 years ago in this paranormal romantic suspense, kind of this global theme of women's power, and which is one of the things I write about. But it's like, oh, now I'm ready to work on this. I'm ready. Maybe the world's ready. We'll see. I'm still not 100% sure. Yeah. And so you wrote it 10 years ago, and then it sounds like things just evolved that now just became the time that this book was ready to be born.
That's right. Yeah. Everyone knows what ChatGPT is, and using chatbots and artificial intelligence. So there's just more people that it's relevant to.
Yeah, that is so interesting. So just a shout out to all you writers. Keep writing. You never know. Maybe if now is not the time for your book, then later. We don't even know. Yeah. My next question is, what do you hope that readers and viewers, because you've got this short prequel film, what do you hope everyone is going to take away from your project, from The Veil?
So one of the things I'm excited about with this Veil is that the family creates clean AI. So it's AI that's not been trained on copyright works. It's been trained on their own works, their own art, and works that are out of the copyright. So classics, fairy tales, The Brothers Grimm, Arabian Nights, and The Magic Paintbrush, where everything you paint comes to life. And that is kind of like the world of The Veil. Everything the brand creates in The Veil grows through AI and becomes real. So there's a village of elves that evolve over time. There's a blue forest that grows using the Fibonacci sequence behind it. There's a castle that he gets to build and decides everything he wants to do with it. And so part of the hope is that one of the stories of The Veil is good because the Lee family is good. And that is a theme of the story. Like, we need ethical people to make ethical technology, because the ones at the front lines of making technology are the ones making the decisions about how this technology is built.
I love that so much. The 2 things you said: one, clean AI, and ethical technology. It's so interesting because the way I use AI, I use it inside of Notion, and I trained it on my material, and then I ask it to adapt from that. I've given it my guidelines, my brand voices, all the things. So I purposely don't use ChatGPT, because I'm like, that's not okay. That's based on stolen work. You want to use the tool, but based on my own work.
Yeah.
in the work I feed it. So it's a second brain cubed or something, because I also feed it all my research notes and just anything that interests me just goes into this big pot.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all my podcast notes, all my event things and the events I market for other people, my friends and stuff as an affiliate, or my thoughts, my business journaling check-ins. And then I have some private things that I've gated away from the AI. I'm like,
Yeah.
being that private. This whole notion of clean AI, that's such a wonderful idea for people to play with. And then your notion of ethical technology, I guess I have a side question to that, which is how can we build ethical technology on top of the AI when the AIs were trained and created in basically an ethical way?
How can we build it? That's like the $1 million question. It is very complicated. You're right. These technologies are already built, and there are lawsuits now, as you know. LibGen has trained on my works, has trained on the works of many author friends that I know. And I know there are settlements that are going around. So it's possible that with enough settlements that they'll be able to button up things. But what I do know is a lot of the big tech companies, what they're doing is they're indemnifying. They're saying, like, if you use our AI technologies, and you get in trouble, we'll take care of you. So that also, in some ways, is a solution for the layperson, but it doesn't really solve the bigger issue. And I think it's not an easy answer.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like that whole ethos of break things
Mhm.
or, take action and ask for forgiveness later, even that whole thing. It's like the ethical conversation, and this could be its own show. I really need to do a show on ethics. The ethical conversation of what underpins our technology, but also what underpins our economics and
Mhm.
political systems. I mean, it's all, you could say, built on the backs of unpaid labor, which is like, oh, we're all a
Exactly.
product of that. We're all a product of that. So it's like, how do you wrangle with that as you step into trying to create something ethically good? So I guess that's a question for you too, and me.
Yeah, no, again, I don't think there's an easy answer, but I think it's small choices along the way as you're developing these products, as you create them. Like, people need to be asking the questions so that they can try to choose the routes that are for safety or for inclusion and not take shortcuts. I mean, that's really what it kind of comes down to. Like, it was easy to just take advantage of things that were out there and try to fix the problem later. But I think people who are forward thinking and can anticipate these things, that makes a big difference. And just being in the room, having a seat at the table, and being able to use your discretion, like, I think all that makes a big difference.
That's really great. So it's back to like critical thinking and kind of being really clear-eyed about what's going on. And also
Right.
not naive, like it's not a black and white situation. There's a lot of nuance. Beauty. Yeah. So how can people support your project? Because I know like you're in your car right now, for those of you watching on YouTube, and you just done a school visit or
I just had a school visit. It was so wonderful. It was to the fourth and fifth grade class of an elementary school. And we showed them the short film, which is about Bran, my main character, when he's 6 years old. It's called The Vale Origins. And it's about why this world was built in the first place. So we showed them the short film, 15 minutes, and then we had a Q&A, and it was really fun. They were so engaged. So I definitely want to do more school visits. If folks are interested, you can reach out to me. I'm pretty much like on social media, or you can reach out to my assistant, which is just assist@abigailhingwen.com. But I think getting word out, that's really kind of our next big step, getting word out for the book as widely as possible, and building from there.
That's so great. And just for everyone listening, like when we say middle grade, we're talking what, fourth graders, fifth graders?
Okay.
Also, what about middle school? Would they be interested in this, or would they think, oh, it's a little too young?
Yeah, no, middle school, my protagonist is 13, so it's like Harry Potter age.
Okay.
And I definitely feel like all my books, it can be read up
Mm.
because there's so much about the technology, and there's a parent storyline. I actually wrote it for quadrant, the way a Disney movie would be made. So there's, older people, younger people, and everyone in between, so that everyone can be engaged and a family can sit down and watch it together. So it's similar for this book.
That's great. And even a parent could read it to their child.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. And when you say four quadrant, meaning like you have characters at all the age groups so that they all feel seen and heard in the story. Yeah. We have a little bit more time. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how the film came about. How did the prequel come about? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so that I was after Love Boat Taipei was made into a movie. I was meeting with producers in Hollywood, and I happened to meet one that was at Netflix, and he told me he did hybrid films that were half live action, half animation. And that got my wheels turning because I'm like, oh, I actually have a project like that. It's a novel that I shelved. You can see from the cover, the idea is that it's half animation, half live action. And so I was like, I talked to my agent, like, I could finish the book and maybe we could do something with it. And so I did finish the book, but at the same time, I was thinking about being a director, and I was advised that the best way forward is to have a sample. So I thought about the Vale origins. That was the most discrete story I had in my portfolio. I'm like, I could do that, and it would be a really fun proof of concept to show how it can go back and forth between the real world and the virtual world. And so that's how it started going, and actually ended up having getting that off the ground before I even had the book deal.
Oh, that is so wonderful. I love how your creative wheels are in different domains as well. That's so great. And is there anything else that you want to share about your project? How long is the book? Where can people find the book? Can they just
Yeah,
buy it anywhere?
the book is available pretty much everywhere books are sold. You can get it Barnes and Noble has picked my very first novel as a young adult book club pick, so I always love supporting Barnes and Noble. The indie stores also can carry it. You can order from them, or some of them have it in store. And then, of course, Amazon, Books a Million. It's pretty much everywhere, so you'll be able to find it.
That's so great. That's wonderful. So as we wrap up today, I always like to ask people, since this is a podcast about the future, is what does it mean for you to write the future?
Ah, great question. I love fiction because you can imagine a better world, and you can imagine a worse world too. That those are dystopian novels. But for me, I try to write worlds that I believe are attainable and that I think we can aspire towards. And so, The Veil is a book about kind, good-hearted people that create technology that is also kind and good-hearted. And I think that is a very reachable dream. And part of my hope is that our future engineers and scientists and ethicists and thought leaders who are reading my books today will go forth and make a better world for all of us.
I love that. I love that so much. I believe fiction, I mean, it shapes our imagination and it shapes who we think we can become. So thank you for putting that vision out into the world. Well, I just want to thank you so much, Abigail, for being a guest on How to Write the Future. So fun to see you in your car, like you're on your way.
Exactly how it is. This is how life is.
So great. So thank you so much for being a guest on How to Write the Future.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Beth.
All right, everyone, that's it for this week. Write long and prosper.